Today I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads and rotors on a 4th generation Lexus GS350. This is my wife's car and there's only about 10% of pad remaining, so it's definitely time to change them out. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I raise the car, I like to loosen the lug nuts. If you have stock wheels on your GS350, it will take a 21mm socket to loosen them. Before I lift the front of my car, I always place blocks behind the rear wheels since my driveway is on an incline. I like to use the inner frame rail whenever I lift the front of my car up. After you have raised the car, don't forget to place a jack stand under the vehicle for safety. Well, look at that. There isn't much brake pad left. Right here's the pad material, or what's left of it. There's probably about 10%, and that's being generous. So that's why it's so important that you give your car a good inspection every year. I noticed the brake pads were pretty warm when I put on the summer wheels on this vehicle, so we ordered up the brake parts, and now we're doing them. First thing we got to do in order to remove the brake pads is we have to remove this pin. Once we have the pin removed, it will allow us to remove this shaft back, and we'll be able to pull the brake pads out. Let me show you. First thing we got to do is remove this pin. Once you have the pin out, go ahead and lubricate the shaft so it slides better. And then take a tool like this, and we want to hammer that shaft out of there. Next, I use a flathead screwdriver between the brake rotor and brake pads to pry the caliper pistons back. After pushing the caliper pistons back, remove the old brake pads. In order to get the caliper off, we have to remove the two 17mm bolts. There's one here, and there's one down here. So I'm going to go ahead and get those removed now. Once you have the brake caliper removed, put it in a location so it's not dangling by its hose. As you can see here, I just have it sitting on this jack stand. Now that the brake caliper is removed, we can remove the brake rotor. Theoretically, this brake rotor should come right off, but since I live in the Rust Belt, this never happens, and it always requires some form of persuasion. Meet Mr. Persuasion. Before installing the new brake rotor, I like to clean the hub assembly with a wire brush to remove any loose rust and dirt. Now that I got the hub assembly all cleaned up, what I like to do before I install the brake rotor is apply a little anti-seize on the hub. That way the next time I do a brake job, it'll be a lot easier to get off. Now that the brake rotor is clean, after wiping it down with brake cleaner, it's ready to be installed. Check out my newly painted calipers. I think they came out great and will add a nice pop to the car. Next, position the caliper over the rotor and install the two 17mm bolts. Now that the brake caliper is installed, we are ready to install the new brake pads. Here I'm applying brake caliper lube on the back of the brake pads before I install them. If the brake pads are hard to install, make sure the brake caliper pistons are pushed back all the way. Next, install the brake caliper anti-rattle spring and pin shaft. You'll have to push down on the anti-rattle spring in order to get the pin shaft all the way through. This is easier with two people. Next, install the pin that keeps the pin shaft in place. We are almost done. Hop in the car and pump the brake pedal a few times. Don't be alarmed if the pedal goes to the floor for the first time, as this is normal. The pedal will firm up after the second or third pump. If the brake pedal feels good, remove the jack stand, reinstall the wheel, and lower the car. Take the car for a short test drive, and when you get back, don't forget to retorque the lug nuts. If any of you are curious, my local Lexus dealer wanted a little over $850 to change out the front brake pads and rotors on our 2013 GS350. I was able to do the work myself while also saving a little over $700 in the process. If you thought this video was helpful, make sure to click the like button. Those likes are what keeps me making these videos. If you have any questions on how to change out the front brakes on your GS350, leave them in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer them. Good luck.